especially for AI side. We're going through exponential growth in terms of computing map, which has an exponential growth to the compute asset. GAIB, it's actually an acronym of like GPU, AI, and blockchain.
Hello, and welcome to the round trip. Today's guest is Kony from GAIB. You want to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, Kony here, CEO and co-founder of GAIB. Pleasure to be here and share more about what we're doing with all of you.
Awesome. Give us like a little insight, like how'd you come to form GAIB? I know you were also a VC and a venture partner at Iterative 2 Ventures. So yeah, did you see like this problem in the space? Love to learn more.
Sure. As you mentioned, I was in VC. Before that, I was in traditional finance doing like credit research, equity research, and traditional investment banking stuff. And then afterwards, I got very interested into crypto. That's why I joined one of the big exchange to help them with overseas expansion. Basically help them with overseas M&A on the other exchanges, wallet companies, esports, gaming, phantom platforms, etc. And then afterwards, I started the crypto VC fund with my partner, where we focus a lot on the infrastructure investments like CK, Layer 1, 2, cross-chain, middleware, all sort of that. And the reason why I started like GAIB is like the story has to go back to the late 2023, early 2024 time. At that time, there was the crossover between like crypto and AI started to emerge, and people were like, what are the things that we can do here? As a big AI fan, I look very deeply into that because I myself like put a lot of time into like AI since the ChatGPT 3 and 3.5 launched. I built my own AI agent. At that time, there was like little frameworks a few frameworks that can work. They basically have to build everything from scratch. Like how do you do the data vectorization? How do you do the search? How do you do RAG? How do you do long-term memory? Because the context window was so short at that moment, and a lot more things. And then I was like, this crypto and AI, like these two of my favorite topics started to merge together. I was trying to see what are the things that could be interesting. So that's why I did a very deep research into the sector and realized that most of the companies are either doing like decentralized compute marketplaces, Cash, Render, IONET, Aether, or they're doing like decentralized data labeling using blockchain as an incentive mechanism to incentivize more like mass participation for one problem. For data collection, and then some others are focusing on like agents and different type of things. And there were nobody actually focusing anything on the finance perspective, which surprised me because coming from a finance background, if you go to a new industry, the first core thing is to have to solve the capital problem for like the whole AI industry, especially for AI side. We're going through exponential growth in terms of computing math, which has an exponential growth to the compute asset, which are the GPUs and computation power there. And this subsegment of AI or towards the supply chain of AI is actually very capital intensive. They require a lot of money to build the data center, get the GPUs, set up the infra, etc. And there was nobody focusing on that. I'm like, why don't we do something here? Because blockchain, the key ethos to me is the creation of new market and also creation of new type of assets. And that's what DeFi brought to us in the DeFi summer. And that's where I had the idea we should do something to finance AI infrastructure, which captures most of the value in the supply chain. And I shared the idea with my co-founder, Alex, whose background is more on the semiconductor and AI side. His family runs one of the top 7 global chip maker called Realtek. And then he himself also runs a cloud company called GMI Cloud. And exactly he faces problems that I mentioned, right? As a startup, as a cloud company, the thing you have to face is getting capital. And getting capital in the market is not easy because number one, GPU is a new asset class, compute is a new asset class. What is neo cloud? Nobody actually know because it was quite early 1 or 2 years ago. So that's why I talked to Alex. Hey, we should do something here. We should be a finance company for AI sector. Like that happens to all the other industry before. It happens to core, it happened to real estate, it happens to like all the different types of industry. And that's why we decided to start GAIB mid last year.
Yeah. I mean, AI has like a huge capex if you want to build out the like physical infrastructure, and the ROI takes, I don't know, maybe probably a few years to get it back. And like you said, we're experiencing this hyper growth stage. So how do you shorten the flywheel? How do you get capital reinvested back into these assets? Like there's a lot of people who probably want like for sure returns, and they don't want to invest in the long term, but they'll be happy with a yield. So yeah, I
Yeah.
also saw Alex. Yeah, he's one of your co-founders. So was the idea for him to all right, I see this, it works perfect for me because I know I'm gonna get people sign year-long contracts for AI, but how do I get some capital near term to invest further in this because everyone's expanding so much? And are you gonna monetize his cloud infrastructure first?
Yeah, we were. So two questions first. One is regarding the return profile and also the ROI. The second question is who do we work with? Yeah, so most people don't know GPU is actually an infrastructure that's quite lucrative in terms of the capital that they can make. Not only these big tech clients, big companies doing AI or doing games, they will require a lot of GPUs, and they usually require a long-term contract with this cloud company to make sure that they can secure the cash flow for the next 2 or 3 years. But also a lot of these on-demand level of AI compute resources are very, very, very tight. If you still remember, I think a few months ago when ChatGPT was launching a new feature where allow people to turn yourself or turn pictures into GPT style, that actually made OpenAI to run on a compute shortage, and it just tells you that we're still in a demand shortage, supply shortage scenario and market right now. And the second thing is these GPUs, the usual payback period is actually 12 to 18 months. Meaning, if you actually take the number of ROI, it equates to 50 to at least 100% ROI on the revenue side. So it is quite good in terms of payback period compared to all the other asset classes. And then the second thing is regarding who do we work with. Well, GMI Cloud, my co-founder's company, is definitely one of the first companies I work with. That's also where we started with. But after 9 months, because of demand and the growth in the sector is just too exponential, we have received a lot of requests and build up a pipeline for it. Right now, we work with over 10 NeoCloud and NVIDIA cloud partners globally, covering Thailand, Taiwan, Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, and Asia. And then in US, Canada, these North America regions, as well as Norway, Iceland, Denmark, and the Europe side. So we're actually expanding our scope pretty heavily, and we tend to work with the cloud companies that are usually NVIDIA cloud partners. Basically, it means that for those people who don't know, NVIDIA cloud partners means they're being vetted by NVIDIA. They have a license and check the capabilities to do software and hardware offerings. And the third thing is they can actually get privileged in terms of getting the latest GPU and the best clients with a recommendation from the NVIDIA side. So we tend to work with them, and most of our partners are NVIDIA cloud partners as well. So that comes down to our unique network in the space that my co-founders operate in the space. We understand the economics. We understand, the GPU's side. We also have the clients working with us. And also the second thing is people understand the need and the advantages that we give them, because we are more flexible in terms of how do we give them capital, how do we underwrite the timing, duration wise. So yeah, our pipeline keeps on growing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how do you make sure the ROI is kind of consistent across cloud providers? Because maybe one location there's more demand than another. So maybe you could go over that, and then I guess you kind of answered it, but you work with NVIDIA cloud partners. That way you have some guarantee these are reputable.
Correct.
And they probably have some uptime assurances and all this.
Yeah, the ROI is hard to guarantee across different cloud providers because they have their own expenses and cost structure. For example, the cost of electricity and utility and data centers in Asia will not be the same as in the States. So that's two different metrics. But what we care about when we do the deals with these cloud companies and neo clouds is that they don't. Number one, we care about the actual cash flow back to us. Meaning, If we give them $100, when and how are we going to get $100 back? And inside we have already factored into different types of costs, like electricity cost, utility cost, even depreciation cost, which might affect the asset value backing the capital that we give them. So we have taken these into account, and ultimately, as I mentioned, like the net cash flow that flow to us is what matters. Like these costs we have to pay essentially, or they have to pay essentially.
So are they like guaranteeing some fixed rate for you guys, or?
Yeah, depends on the structure that we do with them. If we're doing like a fixed rate deal with them, this annually fixed rate we ask for a percentage. Or in other case, we're doing more like rev share, where we invest into the asset itself, and then we take a cut from the rev share, like 50-70% of the total revenue being generated. So in that case, like we have more protections. These boils down to the actual structuring of the deal and the experience that you have, because you can ask for, number one, you get all your return back before the company gets split any profit. And then there's different types of clause like cash sweep, like all the protection that you can have in order to make sure that we get the money first before they get it. And the second thing is, whenever we do the deal with these cloud companies, we have two criteria. One criteria is they have to have the asset, meaning when we give them money, there's something backing it. And more importantly, in terms of this backing, is we ask for over collateralization. For example, if you only have $100 worth of GPU, we only give you $70, $80, meaning we have at least 1.3 to 1.5 times over collateralization here. So in case anything goes wrong, we take a haircut. We still have pretty good buffer in terms of capital with the asset backing it. And the second criteria is that these companies actually have to have a client and good payment records, meaning the GPUs are not sitting there idle, doing nothing, burning money, but they're actually being useful, productive, and generating cash flow that can flow back to us as we give them the capital. So these two criteria, if they don't fit, we won't actually proceed with talking the deal with these guys.
And maybe you go, Kathy.
Yeah, I do have a question, because we've seen you compare GPUs to the spice of AI. Like, where is this idea coming from, and how do you see GPUs fitting into the AI value chain today?
Yes. So yeah, we actually compare like spice as the compute and the AI. So if you look at because we are all big Dune fans, and the name like GAIB comes from Dune, right? And it is actually an acronym of like GPU, AI, and blockchain. And people will say, oh, we are a global AI infrastructure blockchain here, right? Something like this. But yeah, so the reason is similar in Dune, spice is the most purchased commodity in the whole like Dune universe. The same thing happens in our AI era, where compute powers everything. Whether you are using ChatGPT model, you're using Claude model, you're using Perplexity, the all core element, the foundational unit that we're talking about is the computation power. So they actually like resembles each other. That's how we utilize the analogy there. And the second thing is, in terms of these compute assets, they sit at the core infrastructure side. If you look at the AI supply chain, I would describe it as a smile curve, meaning how these value being captured are on the two ends. One end is application, because they control the pricing. They have the user, they control the pricing, they can make money there. Right now, the smile curve is not that steep, because all these like applications are starting to form and make money. Like only starting this year, and before that they're all burning money. There was no like actual mass adoption use cases. But right now we're seeing more and more of them coming up. And then on the left hand side, these are the AI infrastructure, which are GPUs, data centers, even robotics, like manufacturers, robotics companies. So no matter what, like no matter how these applications evolve, they will still rely on the core AI infrastructure. For example, as I mentioned, whether you're using ChatGPT model, you're using Claude model, you still rely back to the foundational like GPU chips there. They can power everything you do. So they're just like Visa. I always like to use this analogy. They're just like Visa. Whether you are using your Visa card issued by BOC or issued by BNY Mellon, whatever banks, whenever you pay money, you make a transaction, Visa makes some money. Same for GPU. Whenever you actually do any call, chat with any models, use any AI applications, the GPUs are being run, provided computation power, and they make money. Basically that. So yeah, that's like the core AI infra that we want to focus on, and they have a huge potential to expand as the application side trying to grow more.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, financializing like the infrastructure seems like a good first step. What are the next steps? Like, how do you build like a whole financial stack on top of this?
Yes, that's a very, very good question. Inside GAIB, how we function is we call ourselves the economic layer because we actually the bridge between like these off-chain assets and on-chain economy that on the DeFi side. What we actually do with these assets is several steps. One, we have to convert these physical assets into digital first. Otherwise, they cannot have like they cannot live on-chain. Like the data, the asset value, like cannot be replicated on-chain. They cannot be used there. And after you tokenize that, the second step is how do you financialize it? Meaning turning these assets into useful instruments or useful products. For example, can they generate yield? Can they bring land against it and to make some products out of it? And then ultimately, the third step is to get some liquidity. Meaning when these assets live on chain, if they cannot have any utilities, any like trading avenues to interact with, they basically use as paper, right? Or use this like token on chain, that lives on chain. So that's why we have been expanding the utilities of these assets there, including getting the lending protocol, getting the DEXs, getting the derivative protocols to all integrate with our asset on chain, so that we can make it more like an economy here. So that's the three steps that we do. Like we try to make these assets on chain. And with this core infrastructure, we can do anything. We can do any AI infrastructure assets. We started with compute. We have proven ourselves. We have done the deal. We have like tokenized like around like $30 million of worth of asset on chain already. And then now we're going to expand to the next big thing that we think will come to the market, which is robotics. Because if you think of AI is the brain, they need a body to interact with the real world. Robotics is a body. So, and very similarly, like just like compute or GPUs, they have a physical hardware and they are going to make money because the model for robotics will change drastically compared to the old traditional like AGVs or big robotic arms in the manufacturing industry. Now they're going to be more consumer level, and we just announced a partnership with a Nasdaq company called Primac. They do basically cleaning robots, and we're talking about tokenizing the robots because they utilize we call it like a robot as a service model, new types of RaaS, and there's something. We can have a hardware, we can have monthly revenue, and this is very perfect for a product that we can give people stable yield into AI.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Yeah. I was gonna ask if it has like a specific use case, but it sounds like it does. So that way you have like the
Yeah. We're starting to see more. Because robotics is very early, and most of the companies will not like have massive production next year. But they are coming. Like we're just like sitting at the 2014-15 crypto era where robotics is the same thing here.
Yeah. So I mean, DEXs sound like an easy integration because it's more permissionless. But yeah, how do you go about getting integrated into some of the lending markets? And can you say like which ones?
Yes. So for example, lending market, we will be integrated with Morpho. We'll be integrated with a lot more. Like basically similar types, but the first we integrated was Morpho, yeah. And then there are different types of lending protocols on different chains that we can utilize. Some are more like RWA friendly. For instance, in the Plume chain, they have like dedicated lending protocols that can cater to these RWA assets that the other chain may not have. So for instance, so that's why we try to integrate with like as many chains as possible and getting our asset as distributed as possible.
Yeah. So one of the things, like, yeah, I'm sure you saw like last month with the whole NFT strategy, you make liquidity out of illiquid things. I'm wondering if like someone can create like an AI strategy where they basically have all these like tokenized AI, and then the coin trades, they get the fees from the trading, and then they also like further redeploy it into the AI infrastructure.
Yes, that's an interesting idea. The reason why we introduced, we have a AI-backed stablecoin or synthetic dollar. You call it AI dollar, and the goal for making that is essentially to make it like a universal umbrella to cover up all the assets that we have brought onto the platform. Because the AI dollars yield come from all these like different types of tokenized AI infrastructure assets, including compute, including robotics. So there's one unit that you can use it. You can actually get like yield very easily, and you can be integrated into all the DeFi as you want. So that's why we introduced like AI dollar, just one single gateway to the whole AI infrastructure yield.
Yeah, how do you get the yield? Do you need to like stake it on the platform?
Yeah, you do. You do. Just like the other Ethereum model, where you can actually, for the AI dollar, you can stake it, and then you get the staking version, and the staking version will actually be generating yield from the underlying compute and robotics assets.
And yeah, when are you coming to market with all this? Like, yeah, when can like people start getting AI dollars?
Yeah, we have done the pre-deposit campaign already, and that's going to conclude in 2 days, October 30th. And then we're launching the main AI dollar on the 31st, which is coming Friday. So very, very soon. Yeah.
How much is like already deployed? What's the live count?
Yeah, so for its pre-deposit, we have got 200 million TVL cap. And then for the AI dollar, this is going to be launched. So hopefully we can get more.
Okay. Wow. And then I guess there's going to be like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. With the token launch coming up, like what's your vision for the coin GAIB, and like what's the purpose that it will serve in the ecosystem?
Yes. Yeah. GAIB token is a very important element inside our whole ecosystem. There's several utilities to the token. It's not only like a usual governance token. They actually has like actual utility, because as I mentioned earlier, GAIB is a infrastructure. We're providing the infrastructure. We're building the infrastructure to get these as assets on chain. And one core part of this infrastructure is our node network, and we call it a attestation network or node orchestration network. It actually requires to all these GPUs after we tokenize it, require them to actually keep on running a node and report the data to our network to make sure that these assets are actually there, making money, staying where they are. And in order to secure this network, we need to have our GAIB token being staked there, and we're using like some of the restaking protocol as well. So that actually meaning like the GAIB token is here to provide economic security to the network that we're providing. And the second thing is, of course, is like basically GAIB token is the core of all the incentives that we want to distribute into our ecosystem, whether it's the additional yield, additional incentives, additional rewards, or the DeFi integrations, like all the activities that we're encouraging there. So it is a very core element inside how GAIB operates, not only on the technical infrastructure level, but also on the governance level and on incentive level. And we are launching a white paper very soon, so more details can be disclosed there.
And yeah, you kind of mentioned this other, like in the beginning, but there's a lot of like compute providers, but they're focused on like kind of Web3 cloud infrastructure. Do you think maybe it's a no, like you're focusing on like companies that focus on the Web2 market, but do you imagine like some will be using like IONET and Akash and all this?
Yeah, I mean they're here for different reasons. Like the decentralized compute, for example, Akash or IONET, they were trying to like the reason they come out as a decentralized compute marketplace was to aggregate all the different types of idle resources as an aggregator. Like whether it's consumer grade GPUs or institutional grade GPUs, it's just all aggregated together and providing unified API for people to access this computation power. Well, it does suit some people because the cost may be lower for like a small scale deployment, small scale like use cases. But then if you are actually like looking for like a massive scale deployment, like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 GPUs to train a big model to do production grade like offering here, you probably need to talk to the bigger guys like traditional cloud companies or like the big like neo cloud companies that we're talking about. So they all serve different purposes. I think the market is big enough to allow them to have their own niche offerings here.
Cassie, do you have any other questions?
I think my internet is quite slow here, so I'm like catching up to your previous conversation. But that was a very insightful intakes that you share with us. And I didn't know about the acronyms about GAIB. It's quite interesting because I actually was wondering the how you see about the RWA, like the AI and plus the DeFi, like all these combined together. But I think GAIB it actually explained it very well.
Yeah, I remember in the I think it was the summer, they had the meme coin with Barham Trump called Nisam Al Gaib. I don't
Yeah.
know. Did you buy some?
Yeah, no, no, not that one, not that one. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of people think he's the chosen one. He's doing pretty well, but yeah, maybe you could get their community.
Yeah, if that's still committee, of course.
Well, yeah, thank you, Kony. Really appreciate your time. And yeah, looking forward to the launch. Yeah, sounds like it's very soon. So hopefully.
Thanks, John and Cass. Yeah. Yeah, follow us. Follow Gaib. Thank you.
Yeah, what are the socials?
It should, for the X is Gaib_AI. That's it.
Cool. All right, go follow. Thanks for joining us on the round trip.
Thank you. Have a good day.